Today's episode is brought to you by Lamppost Group. Lamppost Group is a venture incubator. They help aspiring entrepreneurs take their ideas from the planning stages to reality through financial investment and business guidance. Lamppost Group combines the talent of a small venture incubator with the financial capabilities of a venture capital firm to create a system that encourages fast, independent company growth. For more information, visit lamppostgroup.com.
You are listening to People with a Purpose on the Better You Network and A to Zen.fm channel.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Better You Network. We're brought to you by the Unity Group. My name is Roger, and I'm joined by my co-host, Stacy. Stacy, how are you this morning?
Good morning.
Good. This morning we have an individual, one of our guests in the station. His name is Jason Bass. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning, Roger and Stacy.
So how was that drive in from Gwinnett County this morning?
It was great, actually. Surprisingly great.
Okay. All right. Good. I know most of the time when it rains here, things get a little wacky on the roads here. So our drive as well, even though we're still in Cobb County, was quite uneventful. So that was a good thing. So that was very good. Of course, when we got here, then we heard the sirens go by as well. So,
Yeah, how ironic.
So
Rainy weather, and then you always worry about traffic, especially in Georgia, right? It's never predictable.
I worry about traffic when there's no rain.
Yeah, exactly. Huh?
That's what I'm worried about.
So let give you some background about Jason. He is an entrepreneur. He worked in federal government a little bit at the Federal Reserve in New York City. So he dealt with the New Yorkers, and is from New Jersey, isn't that right?
Yeah, I used to live in New Jersey for about 10 years as well.
And so he owned the franchise and has dealt with business management and now helps businesses with business plans and processes and operations. All my favorite words.
And financials.
And financials, yes, and all about the money, right?
All about the money and the cash flow. We got to remember that cash flow, folks.
So Jason, tell people how you got into what you did.
Well, I've been working with the Federal Reserve, like I said, for about 10 years. And after that, I mean, it really became a pure love of just entrepreneurship and doing things for myself. And so I got my MBA in entrepreneurship and business management. And I started up a small business, automotive service business, in fact. And then after a year from there, I went into the franchise world with edible arrangements and just kept growing from there. Also picked up along the way, I started teaching entrepreneurship in the university classroom. And I still do that to this day online now. So, now, of course, in addition to all of that, I'm helping small businesses get their plans together, get their financials created, and put them on the path so that they can, be prosperous.
So how do you motivate the entrepreneurs on like online courses like that? It's kind of a key thing.
Yeah, the way I do that is through some very creative, engaging video.
Mm-hmm.
We put together a video format where I'm like literally in what looks to be a classroom, and it's all virtual. So or in a lecture hall, and the students actually are very engaged in that. They like the format. They feel like they're in a classroom, and it just works really well.
What was your why? I mean, why do you do what you do? I mean, is it something that relegated from when you was very young, or how did that come about?
Yeah, so that's a great question. The why to what I do is when I was young, my dad was an entrepreneur. I mean, he was doing it all. Had several stores, candy stores, and not to be like my dad so much. I did really like that about what he was. I liked what he was doing, and I saw it. It was engaging. It was exciting. No 2 days were the same. And so I guess you could say it's in my blood. But where I am in the space now, I really like helping people and see them succeed. And so that motivates me to the point where sometimes I give a little bit more than I should be giving. But
I think we all do.
Yes. But I do love it though. And, I love it. I love the financials. I love bringing all-encompassing aspect and perspective into different ventures.
Okay. Well, that led into my next question. What was the greatest reward from your work? And basically, you just stated, you'd like to see people successful in that aspect. So, but I guess as to caveat on that, what has been a challenge for you in this aspect of doing what you do?
Oh, the challenge is always, well, the biggest challenge, especially as it pertains to business plans, is getting people to understand and accept that they need one. Business planning and just preparing financial statements. The challenge therein is getting people to understand the value in having not only the plan, but those financial statements, so that way you know exactly what you need for your business. How much money do you need? How much, if you're going to, family going to give you money, how much equity are you going to give away? How much is your company really worth? And so often people just, they want to fly off the seat of their pants. But if they would just give their business their just due of 3 weeks, they can have something extremely valuable that might even change the direction of their own thinking.
Well, don't you think that a lot of businesses they start the business plan with all these expectations and get the little book and stuff like that, and they get into the marketing part with numbers and projections, and they get kind of scared because then they feel like they have to live by those numbers.
Sometimes they do. And again, this is where people have to understand that the business plan is a living document and it can change at any given time. So it's happened in my own business. I write, believe it or not, I write my own business plan.
You practice what you preach, huh?
I do my best. But for me, what I do is I go out sometimes and even have other people look at my plan. I have a couple of mentors and
Right.
Former professors of my own, and they keep me on the straight and narrow. But yes, these individuals, they should look at their plan as a living plan and a living document. And when they, put something on paper, and you'd be amazed of the power of writing. When you put it on paper and you see it, and it's almost like we always like to use the terms, it's not written in stone.
Yes, yeah. the Flintstones, right?
The Flintstones, but that paper is like stone.
Right.
Except that the beauty is that you can erase it and do something a little bit different. So I say all of this to say, when you put it on paper, it's going to help you with your perspective, and that's what business owners need to understand.
Well, I think that's part of why people like being an entrepreneur is that you can be, you can change tomorrow what your process was, and what you started in the beginning does not necessarily mean that's what you're going to do forever.
Exactly. Here's the beauty of it. I was just talking to a small group of young women 2 days ago, and I told them, I said, look, all of you are small, and the beauty of being small as opposed to big or even medium size is that you can change on a dime. You don't have to have a meeting with 5 different figureheads and managers, and you can change literally tomorrow what you do.
We've had to. I think economics has paid a lot of why we've had to change our business practices.
Yeah, you have to diversify.
You have to diversify, and it's not just about service, and it's not just about product. It's got to be a good balance, don't you think, out there?
Absolutely. It's got to be a good balance. And just about being flexible. The one thing for me, for example, is I've changed. Not only say changed, but I've modified my approach to business planning to also incorporate strategic innovation planning.
Interesting.
And it's SIP planning, or
Right.
or it's like I like to say, sipping.
Sipping. Okay.
But what it is your customers fall into different categories. They could either be need seekers, they could be or you as a company could be a market reader looking for customers looking for just modest improvements on products.
Right.
And then your company you could be a technology driver. So these are all, I try to incorporate that now into the business plans as well. So that way, individuals, when they look at their own businesses, they can actually modify their approach and improve their cash flow.
You mentioned mentors earlier. How important have they been in your process?
They've been extremely important. I can't tell you how valuable, because as good as I like to believe I am, even the best heart surgeon in the world needs somebody else to do surgery on him or her. And so I often need my mentors to put me on the straight and narrow.
Interesting. I know we've all had mentors in our lives, and I had while I was working overseas. Actually, my program manager at that point in time was a great mentor to me. And there were days when, just as anyone, you get frustrated with with how things are, or whatever the case may be. And he would talk to me. He would say, you know what, you're gonna have days like this. But just remember that day will end eventually, and there'll be a new one, God willing. So, in some aspects, he put it in perspective for me in that aspect of, it's not always going to be easy, and everything is not always going to go your way. So, just get with the program, and you'll be okay.
Exactly. Exactly. And that, just as entrepreneurs, and I'll say it real quick, and I tell my students this all the time. This is about a roller coaster ride. There are going to be ups and there are going to be downs, and not everybody is cut out for this.
Right.
So, that's where your mentors come in and help you.
Right. Right. So you, actually, one of the things I'm real impressed about you, Jason, is that you stay home with your kids when they're in school, but you're kind of the stay-at-home dad to keep things afloat. How is that, running a business and raising two boys, knowing your wife works full time, that kind of stuff?
Oh yes, well, my wife is not only full time; she's getting her little doctorate.
Yeah, so she's multiple tasking there.
Yeah, so she's really out of the house, and it is a challenge. It is a challenge. But what my wife and I have done, and I'm very proud of, is that we've often switched. Who goes when one person goes to school, the other person stays in, and kind of holds down the fort.
Right.
And we've done this throughout our 17, now going on 18 years.
Wow! Congratulations.
My goodness, I forgot.
That could be a good thing.
That could be a good thing. But it's a formula that has worked for us. And but now it's time to really. She's about to wrap up, and now it's time to make it go full force. And the kids are older, so they can do a lot more on their own. Right.
So how do you advise people who have one person that's traditionally in that corporate world and the other one's the entrepreneur?
Oh, that's a very good question. Often, and the reason why I say that is because usually the person who's the entrepreneur, it's a lonely space to the person who's used to working in the corporate environment.
Right.
And this is what usually people who are in the corporate environment or just in a job situation, they are unable to comprehend the challenges that you have to overcome as an entrepreneur. A lot of the emotional distress and the like I said, the highs and lows.
Right. Definitely.
Well, that's interesting because one of the things you said entrepreneurs are kind of in a lonely space, and the corporate are not maybe so much so, but they can be dependent upon where they're at and what they're doing, obviously, and how they are. I would think how they are accepted and recognized within their corporate space, so to speak, because for the simple fact that how many times have you heard someone say that they're very dissatisfied with their job and whatnot? I've heard it numerous times. And so in that aspect, I wonder sometimes, well, maybe it's time for you to cut the ties and do something on your own, or whatever it is that really pleases you, or that you get the most joy out of doing. Now, whether or not it's going to keep the bills, paid and keep the lights on is another story. But I do believe that, I think it can be a two-way street when it comes to an entrepreneur versus being in the corporate aspect of things.
That is true, and I'll just say really quickly on that note that people, when they have a job, sometimes they think they could just run an entrepreneurship and it's easy, but it's not. So I'll end it right there.
Okay, well, that being said, we're going to take a station break and we'll be right back with you.
Eric Holtzclaw is an expert and evangelist on the new world of product design and marketing to consumers. His keynote topics and workshops are derived from knowledge gained during his 20-plus year career as a serial entrepreneur and his work at Laddering Works. This gives him the unique opportunity to interview thousands of people a year and understand their core drivers and motivations. Eric is the perfect resource for keynote presentations, marketing and team building workshops, brainstorming, and ideation session moderation. Contact him today at www.ericholtzclaw.com. Again, contact him today at www.ericholtzclaw.com. Listen to our interviews with Eric in the archives at www.thebetteryouNetwork.com.
You are listening to People with a Purpose on the Better You Network and A to Zen.fm channel.
And welcome back to our show. And once again, we're here with Jason Bass of Bass Business Plans. And Jason, one of the questions I wanted to ask is, we all have journeys to make, and some are hard, some are easy, some are in between. So that being said, what's been the hardest part of this journey for you?
The hardest part of the journey is inconsistent cash flow.
Amen.
Tell us something we don't know.
That is the hardest part. The hardest part of that journey, because you have to eat.
Yes.
And part of my mission and why I do what I do is because I really enjoy it.
Right.
And if I knew that I could eat every day and pay all my bills every day without even having to make any money,
It would not the stress. Yes, I agree.
yeah, I mean, I'd do it for free.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a reality in that. So, and right now, I remain conflicted. Sometimes I say I should just go into the corporate world and bring my entrepreneurial mindset there. And it's true because, and I tell you why. I got a 13, well, he'll be 13, and an 11-year-old. And college is a reality.
Mm-hmm.
The cost of college is a reality.
We know that one 4 times.
Yeah.
So I do wrestle with it quite often, and that's the hardest part of the journey.
Yeah,
doing
right.
what you love against, the reality of what you have to face in the next 5 to 6, 7 years.
And for me, I like helping people to see that success of the aha, and that I've really been, they took some of my coaching or my mentoring, whatever, and they say, oh, that could really fit much better than, somebody really wants to talk with you, huh? It's a real important journey there, right?
We're already having callers call in. Huh?
There we go. Can't believe you said that, Jason.
So, I think the other thing is, where do you and who do you find support besides your mentors? I mean, does it sometimes your clients help you in that perspective?
Absolutely. I have a number of clients who help me. I mean, the clients I have, fortunately, are in different industries. And the beauty of it is that I got one, he probably my best client ever, but he is a superb networker. He's in the entertainment industry, but a great business thinker. And so, yeah, the relationships with my clients develop beyond just me providing the services for them, but even more, And so, yes, I do go to some clients who I value, their opinion.
So what other kind of unexpected surprises have you gotten besides, the support from your clients who may become friends, that kind of stuff?
Well, fortunately, I've been able to, just do different things. One of the things I have is I have a video podcast show, and I've been able to meet people through that show, such as the two of you.
Yeah,
in fact,
that's
you've been guests on the show, and you couldn't tell me that I was doing this a couple years ago.
So that's a diversity?
Yeah, that's diversifying and growing, and that's something that is the beautiful part of being an entrepreneur.
Right.
That you grow into different spaces as long as you are open to it. And so yes, that has been, if you want to say a surprise, that has truly been it.
So what's the funniest thing that ever happened when you were doing a business plan with somebody?
The funniest thing that ever happened?
Yeah.
When someone telling me, I don't think I really need this. I just had to laugh at that, But there's not too many funny moments, but you know, sometimes I laugh, at some of the things that I hear in terms of the businesses,
Right.
or the avenues that people want to go down. But what I've learned is that a vision is a vision.
Mm.
Some of us would have laughed at the thought 15, 20 years ago that we would have wireless internet,
Right.
and all of that stuff. So, and look at us now. I mean,
Right. Well, I think we've been talking about this last couple months, but we're seeing this trend. You're a former government employee.
hmm
Roger's retired military. I worked for the government at some point.
hmm
Is that the trend? These former,
Former
corporate
G people.
Yeah, corporate people. That kind of stuff.
Well, you know what it is? I think the government worker, the government worker is, or even the former, just as we are,
Mm-hmm.
government workers, come into this lifestyle, as I would call this a lifestyle, for very specific reasons. And let me bring this into point. The government, in just about every agency, is very structured. There is no deviation from the norm. There's,
This is true.
This is very true.
if there are any changes, it is very much a decided upon thing from higher up down, and it's very structured. There's no creativity. There was no creativity at the Federal Reserve when I was there, and they're not trying to be. That's not.
It's not their mantra.
That's not their mantra.
Right.
We're about stability
Mhm.
and being conservative and
Right.
keeping things going.
Stabilization.
Right?
Yeah.
Stabilization, and the creative person doesn't bring stabilization. That's disruptive.
We kind of shake things up. Is that what you're saying?
It's disruptive to the organization.
Right.
So if you have that in your nature, that you want to be a creative person and everything like that, and there are a lot of people who are in government who are,
Right.
then you really have no choice because of the reality of the organization to leave, and that's really what further compelled me, because I could have stayed, in my job, making a handsome salary, and wouldn't have to worry about college educations, had flexible work schedules, you name it. I mean, I had a good time,
Mm-hmm.
but deep inside of me, I really wanted to, use the creative aspect.
I think everybody has it. It just depends on who wants to hone into it, right?
Absolutely, there are a lot of people who forego it,
Right.
and I guess just I'll share an experience just really quick with you. There was an individual when I first started to work at the bank. Um, it's rather intimate now, So went to the restroom, and the guy, he had retired that day, and they were having his retirement party, and he had been there for like 30 years,
Wow.
and he passed away right there in the bathroom.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And the even though it's a stark reality, what it really did to me, it was jarring to me.
Mm-hmm.
But what it did was it made me realize that, this has to be temporary.
Right.
If I'm going to do what I'm doing here, but then I have to make myself happy. And I think I mentioned this to just about everybody. 9/11 also did that to me.
Yeah,
You know.
we've had that conversation. And 9/11 has hit me personally. I mean, I was a government contractor and we shut down for 4 days. I didn't even know what to do. I mean, literally,
Yeah.
because that process halted completely. We've never had that
Yeah.
ever.
Well, I mean, I think you're just in a space. At least when I was there and everything happened, and not to get into it that heavy, but it really brought to the point, I think, to everybody,
Right.
the importance of feeding your soul
Mm.
and doing what makes you happy,
Right.
and that in itself. I mean, again, there's no guarantees in what we do
Right.
in entrepreneurship, but at least you could say you did it.
So these you came from New York, and I always every time we've gone to New York it's like the ultimate entrepreneur little hub. I mean, every place you go, there's always a little store, that kind of stuff. And if you can survive in New York, I think you can survive anywhere, right?
I had my edible arrangements there.
Right.
And I will tell you that New York City, and sorry to say this to the Mayor Bloomberg and all the folks out there, but what's sad is that it's hard to do business in New York City.
Really.
It is extremely difficult. The hurdles that you have to overcome in New York City, and even on a social level, I could tell you that, as an African American business owner, I had people who would walk into my store in New York City say, I want to see what the owner looks like.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh.
this was a reality.
Wow.
And so, so doing business just in New York City, you really, it's tough.
You got to hustle, huh?
Well, it's not even so much that you got to hustle. I would say it's just more progressive here. Believe it or not, you can open a business here in Georgia,
Right.
in Atlanta, very quickly. It costs less, a low amount to set up, to get everything approved. It's just, you can do everything online. You can't do it online in New York City.
Oh, really? You have to go?
No, you can't. You have to go to the health department. You have to go to these different places. Oh, it's ridiculous.
Wow.
Well, you mentioned earlier about stabilization, and based upon what you do with business plans and stuff, how big of a stabulator, I'll call it. That's what we call it in the Air Force, with the tail end of the airplane, because it does stabilize the aircraft. So, how big of a stabulator is a business plan to business, large or small?
It stabilizes you to the point. I mean, especially if you're looking at that document, it prevents you from, just like when you're in an airplane, prevents you from going out of control. Again, you have to go back and you have to revisit that document,
Right.
and you have to see what are you doing now? Because sometimes you'll stray, and sometimes straying is good. All right, because that might just save you. I think I made the mention. I moved into video podcasting or whatever. And I think that saved me tremendously because it allowed me to go into and network around Atlanta way more effectively than if I did it any other way. So, but then, of course, I had to go back. Instead of going out of control, I had to go back to my plan and say, okay, how does this all fit? And how do I make this work as a business?
Yeah.
Well, quickly, because I believe we're running down on time here. What has been the biggest piece of advice you would have for people in the same space as you are at this point?
I would say, just, be upfront. Write what you have in your mind down. Just write it down. It doesn't have to,
It doesn't have to make sense.
it doesn't have to make sense. It could be a brain dump, and just put it down on paper, and then it'll tell you'll see exactly where you are. But like I said, when you write it on paper, that paper, what you've written, is going to challenge you. It's going to challenge your mind, and that's just really, and that's what you want.
So is that the reason that you did that DVD, so they could kind of write things down, kind of get some feedback on what they have in plan?
That's correct. That's exactly it. Part of it, I want to move away from doing, writing people's business plans to some extent.
Well, I understand.
But yes, I put together that, a DVD, Small Business Planning 1.0, because, people need to, even in their own mind and in their own time and their own space, go over what needs to go into a business plan and put it in there.
Right.
And again, just write it down. Don't try to, make it perfect. And I think that's where people get, overwhelmed.
Yeah,
we
they
we have like five of those business plan books, and I looked at all of them, and they're all about the same, but it's the process and to just execute it. I think that's what everybody struggles with.
Well, I'm going to track back to a real quick funny moment. I was given a presentation, and a young lady said to me, she pulls out a book that must have been about 200 some odd pages. She goes, I have a book here that tells me how to write a 1-page business plan.
Okay.
And I had to laugh because I said it took that whole book to tell you how to do that.
Yeah, really.
Wow. Well, either there you have it, folks. I mean, brain dump everything on a sheet of paper, spread it out, and start spreading the ink. And it doesn't, like Jason said, it doesn't have to make sense right away, but it will eventually. So once again, just start writing, and eventually it will make sense. Just be persistent with it. And with that being said, we'll take a minute and we'll be right back.
Today's episode is brought to you by the book, Laddering, Unlocking the Potential of Consumer Behavior by Eric Holtzclaw. Learn the secret to using consumer behavior to unlock the information you have on your consumers and turn it into successful marketing campaigns and product launches. Available online at Amazon.com and in bookstores starting August 2013. For more information, visit www.ladderingworks.com. Have you recently started a business, or are you thinking about doing so?
Wondering where to start? Looking for advice, or just want to share your story?
If you answered yes, the Better You Network wants to hear from you.
To be a guest on one of our shows, please contact us via Twitter at BetterYouProject or email us at thebetteryouproject@gmail.com.
Come join us and inspire others.
This offer only valid in the United States and Canada.
Welcome back. So, Jason, one of the things is we were talking about your DVD, and I was saying that I have given people your little DVD and a little template that you've given me, and I feel like I owe you like $10 every time I give it to somebody. And so we were just having this discussion kind of openly, but, what's your plans for the future for that on the DVD and this little template that you've given me to resource to some of our clients and potential clients?
Well, that's a great question, and I'm getting with the times. I'm getting with the times, and so and I'm probably going to be moving away from just DVDs since we're so electronic and we're into digital downloads and things
Right.
like that. But I put that DVD together to help people, go through their business plan in their own time. But moving forward, looking ahead, which is a great point. I think we all must do this in our businesses. I'm looking at breaking up the DVD and the segments so that people can download them digitally on their
Interesting.
computer, and
Right.
and they could see the presentations along with the workshops and develop their business plans again in their own space still, but just with a different medium.
Yeah, and I think about writing because that's not one of my favorite things to do. And when I started college, I had a great teacher introduction to kind of writing, and one of the things she said was set the timer for 15 minutes and just write whatever, and then just walk away, and then come back to it next day. And I kind of have found for us in our business plan as we've revamped it this last year, that's kind of what I've had to do.
Yeah, it gets to that. It gets to that brain dump. And that's again. There's a beauty in putting a brain dump out there because you could always go back and there's the beauty about paper as opposed to stone.
Yeah.
You could erase
Right.
or just cross out. But here's where the beauty in that business plan, small business planning 1.0, and especially as it evolves, is that I not only put a presentation in there, but you talk about the writing. I have a workshop behind each segment,
Oh, wow. That's
which
great.
which really shows you what words to write
Mm-hmm.
in the document. So there's a document. You don't see my face at that point. I pop up from time to time,
Right.
but I'm going over exactly how you need to structure that
Yeah,
document.
I have seen the DVD, and I like the fact that you're working on some key words there that people probably aren't thinking about in their business plans. And the process is basically so that they can help get funding, maybe investors, that kind of thing. Is that one of the key reasons?
That is absolutely. I mean, that is truly a key reason. And I would stress to my students, who is the first investor in the business?
Good.
You are.
Good,
Right.
good question.
That's a great question.
And so if you're going to invest, I mean, once you decide to even do a brain dump, for example, and spend time on an idea, you've already started investing. If time is money and you're spending time, you're spending money. So, give your business its due or your idea its due, and, write something, write what you need to write, learn, challenge it. Don't go into this, so many people put blinders on. I'm going to create a new cupcake, and I'm going to sell that cupcake to everyone in the world. And
Don't tell that to Roger too fast.
Yeah.
That's his Achilles heel.
So yeah, but I've had people tell me certain things about certain products, and you ask them, well, who is your target market, and they go, everybody.
Oh, yes, I've heard that.
And not for nothing, I know we all need just different things in our lives, but everybody is not your target.
Right.
We'll build it and they will come.
Right.
Attitude, which leads to my next question as far as when it comes to success. Everyone sees success in a different way. I mean, success for me may be different than success from Andy here. So that being said, what would success look like for you in the future?
Success to me is at some point having a nice dinner with a lot of people who I've helped, and listening to their stories, and really everybody exchanging their experience either with me, but in their own businesses and things like that. Recently, I had a friend of mine who was one of the top 40 under 40, people doing great things.
Right.
And he's in with another young man, and they're having a discussion, and it turns out that one of the other individuals is an edible arrangements owner.
Really?
Oh, really?
Wow.
And
How ironic.
yeah, and so my friend says to him, I have a buddy, Jason Bass, who owned edible arrangements, and the guy lit up and was just like, he's the reason why I'm here.
Wow.
And I wasn't there to even know this, and I didn't even know who the guy was.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That's great.
That is amazing.
So those are stories that when they come back to me, it really, it keeps me going.
Right.
And that's when you feel successful.
So what new things and projects are you working on?
Oh, well, as a matter of fact, we're working on a GPS presentation and workshops and things like that.
So what does GPS mean?
That's growth, profitability, and I want to say sustainability, but we've been going with solutions, and we're going to make the G, the P, and the S stand for different things
Right.
because it's growth, it's profitability, it's sustainability, it's solutions,
Success.
There
it's
you go.
strategy.
Yeah.
So it's all, but we're all bringing different parts to this. And so anyway, GPS is a great program where we are helping business owners understand, from my vantage point, financial statements, cash flow, income statements, things like that. I know, and then you and Roger, Stacy and Roger, you guys are working on the government contract side, and so these are just tremendous. Workshops like this are just tremendous for people to take advantage of.
Well,
So
great.
yeah. Do you deal with nonprofits?
I do deal with nonprofits. I don't get a lot of them, but I do deal with them because at the end of the day,
Yeah, they're a business.
they are a business,
Right.
and so it's cash got to come in and cash has got to go out. And how do you bring that cash in? So instead of making a sale, say of a product, and you still, as a nonprofit, you still might sell products and services, but that money has to be effectively used.
Well, amidst all the uncertainty and, to put it mildly, with the deficit and everything else that's going on that we can't miss in the news and stuff, I guess what should businesses, both profit and nonprofit, be focused on this upcoming year?
They need to be focused on how to utilize technology, how to take their business and be innovative. I can't stress it enough. I mean, we're in this iPod-ish, iTunes-ish type of world now, and just like me, I mean, I've had to evolve. So I had break up my segments. Like think about better ways in which you can reach your clientele. And even if you're a nonprofit, instead of making phone calls, I'm getting phone calls on my home phone, which I really don't know why I still have.
Yeah, new technologies.
Right, But nonprofits need to figure out better ways to utilize technology.
To ask for funding in a different manner.
Exactly.
I agree.
Totally.
Yeah.
The old school of calling them, and go, can you donate? That's
gone.
It's gone. Yeah.
Yeah, the phonathons and stuff are becoming a bit of a dinosaur. You're talking about technology. You're right. Everything is becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. And, and with me, I can hardly see some of the flipping screens nowadays on some of these gadgets and whatnot. So I'm still in the old laptop mode. So
Right. Well,
hopefully they won't go away.
yeah, but we're at that platform where you got to think of the footprint: cell
Right.
phones and iPads.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
Or was it? Is it not even tablets too?
So we'll be right back in a minute.
Do you have a passion for discovering new places to visit? Are you tired of the same mainstream franchise dining choices? Is it your life's motto to try a new and unique restaurant every week? If your answers to any of these questions is yes, then Table Travels is the show for you. With a combined passion for travel and an appreciation of good food and unique dining experiences, Table Travels was born. Join April each Monday as she explores new and exciting places and restaurants just around the corner or in a new exotic locale, waiting to be discovered. For more information on Table Travels, visit tabletravels.com. Again, for more information on Table Travels, visit tabletravels.com. Or you can listen to April and Table Travels every Monday on the Better You Network, and you can find her in the archives at thebetteryouNetwork.com.
Okay, and we're back with Mr. Jason Bass of Bass Business Plans. So, Jason, what about this journey has made a better you, and how do you see social media working this what you're doing now?
Social media is huge. I think everybody has to acknowledge that. It's part of it is you got to be on social media. It's like not having a website anymore. But and I did a show on this on Biz Blogcast. It's really, you got to choose what is going to be the most effective for you. So if you're doing something that's more engaging, by way, let's say if you're running a salon, you do hair, I know that back in the days, at least when I used to go get my hair cut,
Haircut, really?
and people, listening, I don't have any hair on my head. So, but that's where you used to hear about, a lot of things going on in the neighborhood.
Right.
And
Still do.
And you still do. But now, of course, social media just takes it to a whole new level. So it's, you could always continue the conversation, but you definitely need to have a place, and stake out your claim. But it can be a lot to manage.
Absolutely.
And this is where I would tell people, and what I've done is bring and get an assistant on. Bring an assistant online. Or a really good teenager.
Yes, exactly. Actually, we met a really great social media guru. She came from California out here, and she gave us some protocols that I'd never even thought about on that perspective of social media that you have to put in place.
Yeah. You definitely want to do that, and it's making use of video.
Right.
Right now, video is the next big thing as well, and that's of course with my Biz Blogcast show and stuff like that, that's working out tremendously. But I think businesses just in general you got to evolve with this.
So what's your preferred platform?
I be honest with you, I love this here audio. I love radio. I love video. In terms of social platforms, I'm really on the Google Plus side.
Yeah, I have to agree. I like that new Google Plus is.
Google Plus is.
A lot of fun.
That's going to blow things away, and Google is in everything. And people don't know about this yet, but Google Plus, they got Google Wallet, so you can do transactions. Right. Google Voice, Gmail, YouTube, and they have their Google Plus platform where you can do Hangouts, and I'm going to conduct a lot of workshops through that. So yes, that's going to be my platform.
Okay. So Jason, we're almost at the end here. So tell us, how do we get a hold of you? Email, social media links.
In other words, how do people get in contact with Bass Business Plans?
Well, one, you can see me at bizblogcast.com. That's bizblogcast.com, and you can see the video episodes, which we start up our new season in March, the first and third Tuesday of every month. And but then you could also call me at 678-615-8509, especially if you need any financials. Or you can reach me at jasonbass@bassbusinessplans.com.
So Jason, what is the biggest thing when people communicate with you? What's like the top question they ask you? Have you kind of?
What do you do? How can you help me? Can you get me money? That is usually what they're asking.
Okay.
And, I can't make any guarantees, but I tell them that I can definitely position them so that they can put themselves, in a place where they can start their business or grow their business or whatever, expand.
Well, that being said, we would like to thank Jason for being our big guest today.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you for coming on. And
thanks for having me.
Well, great. Oh, yes. And I think it's been very informative for us today. And just remember, When you think about business plans, think of Jason Bass. And until next week, for the listening audience, think, what are you going to do to be a better you?
Today's episode is brought to you by the National Seminar Series, Making Nonprofits More Profitable, Social Enterprise for Charitable Organizations, as hosted by Quinetha Frazier. Learn how to develop a diverse funds development campaign. We will explore the business models of high-performing nonprofits who make it work and are able to do more to support their mission. Coming soon to 15 cities across the U.S. beginning March 2013. For more information, visit www.theqbrand.com.